guys, I'm Walt, amateur call sign K4OGO. You know, I love all types of radio. Obviously, ham radio, shortwave radio, CB radio, you name it, listening to scanners. But my one thing that really got me into the radio hobby, and really is the foundation to my love of radio, is medium wave DXing, listening to AM broadcast stations. You know, it all started back when I was 9 years old, 1971. I got one of these little bad boys. It was the Panapet 70 from Panasonic. I used to lay in the bed when I wasn't supposed to and spin the dial and listen to stations as far away as I could. And I just fell in love with DXing, as we call it, listening to distant radio stations. Well, you know, I have this antenna. This is a passive loop medium wave AM antenna. It is this one is the Texan model AN-200. This thing has traveled around the world with me, literally. I've taken it across the Pacific to Hawaii. It's been back and forth to Poland with me 5 times. Everywhere I go in the States, from Wisconsin to Florida to California, I take this with me. And I use it to listen, to do my medium wave DXing. Well, I want to give you a rundown on why I like this antenna so much, what this antenna is all about. And then I want to show you how to use this antenna if you're interested in doing something yourself. This is an economical way to get into AM DXing. These things are not that expensive. You can get different brands, and they're all the same pretty much, but you can get all these somewhere between 30 and 40 US dollars as they go now. Just looking on Amazon and saw them at today's price. I've had this one for years. I can't even remember buying it. It's probably had it 7-8 years, but I've had it a while. But anyway, I want to go over things about this antenna, kind of show you what I've done, what I can do with this antenna. And then I want to give you a quick demonstration on how to use this antenna. Stick around. So how does this thing work? You know, this antenna is really cool. It's affordable, and it's a great way to get into the hobby of medium wave DXing. You know, where the band is situated, for you guys that are hams, you know how big of an antenna, the lower you go, how much more you need long wire or long vertical. I mean, AM broadcast radio is below 160 meters for you guys that are ham, so you would need a really big antenna. Well, that's what this is. This is just a coil, basically a loop antenna. It's a circuit. It's got a variable capacitor on it, which tunes the antenna. So what this thing does is captures the signal, and it has it here in this simple circuit of the variable capacitor and the loop antenna. And then whenever you bring, like most, if not all, small AM portable radios, have a ferrite bar antenna inside of them. So when you come close to it, it couples. And you can tune this and really boost the signal for AM radio or medium wave DXing for that. You know, I use this thing all the time. This thing has traveled with me. I've gone across the Pacific to Hawaii with this. I've taken it back and forth to Europe 5 times. Everywhere I go in the States, I use this antenna when I'm traveling from Wisconsin to Florida to California, because I like to go and DX and listen to different stations. You know, when I'm down in the southern U.S., I can get some South American stations. Here on the East Coast, if I go up north, anywhere on the eastern seaboard, I'm always trying to get some medium wave stations from Europe, and people have even gotten Northern Africa with one of these right here in the States. So this is really cool to listen into. So, you know, if you're a ham radio operator, you know, you're really into DX, this is kind of fun, especially like right now, a night like tonight. It is pouring down raining. Bands aren't happening. I want to get out here and just listen to some DX, see what I can do on the medium wave thing. You know, this antenna, there's a lot of other similar type antennas, which I own, honestly. I like this antenna a lot. I also have the Turk, T-E-R-K, Turk coil. This is sold at different brand names as well. And it's pretty cool. It's as good, if not maybe even better. I don't know. I have an older one. I've had this one forever, the Select antenna. And this is the same thing. It's got a loop here inside with a variable capacitor. So other types of very similar, basically the same antenna. One thing I do like about this one, though, is it has a 3.5 millimeter, or we call it 1/8 of an inch jack. So you can use it with a cable. I've got cables for it. And you can directly put this thing and pair this thing with a radio. Instead of passive coupling, you can direct couple with a wire to go to it, which is pretty cool. You know, when I'm traveling over to, most of the time, I have a couple Texans, which I like a lot because the Texan, it has a ferrite bar antenna too, but it's detachable. So it comes with this ferrite bar antenna for AM radio. And so with this on, I can just take it and pair it, you know, with passive coupling, pair it with the antenna. But what I like to do, especially when I go out on the beach or whatever, is take it off and take a direct line and directly do this. I'm taking this thing out on the beach quite a bit. You know, I had some good times in Hawaii with it. What I would do when I was in Hawaii was in the evening, as the gray line was coming over me, it was leaving California in the West Coast. So what I would do was in the evenings, early gray lines, when it was already night in California, I could pick up those West Coast stations and tune in. And we're talking thousands of miles away. I mean, it's a long ways out there from Hawaii, from California, but hey, it worked well.
Anna, good news there. 5 northbound, Leaded Main Street. That earlier incident has cleared. KFI in the sky, up, stay there faster. I'm Jimmy Harmon.
One more, David. Keep next. Oh, let's talk about the Scoremaster.
That was a lot of fun. Another thing I would do in the mornings, very early mornings, I'd get up at the gray line time, and I would go down to the beach, and I would look the other way. I would look west and southwest, and I think the farthest I've ever picked up any signal on medium wave was I got New Zealand from Hawaii. And you would think, yeah, they're both in the Pacific, but New Zealand, the station I got was 4,600 miles away, which for an AM broadcast signal, that was pretty. Was that like 7,000, over 7,000 kilometers? It was a long way that I got this, but I got Star FM in Wellington, New Zealand.
Just waking up, that one is nice and starting one. Right from my Jesus loves you. No matter what you think, no matter how you feel, at this time of the morning, Jesus loves you. He's great and she reminds me, well, how can you live without Jesus? And so he loves you.
On top of that, I also got a lot of stations from Japan, the Marshall Islands, Tonga, all over the Pacific. So it was a lot of fun when I was DXing with that. You know, I took this thing over to Europe with me a lot. And the thing I'd love to do in Europe is I have a little old 80s Walkman, and I would hook an external an external speaker to it, like a Bluetooth type or a direct speaker to give me some sound. I'd clip the Walkman onto this antenna, and what I would do is I would aim it. I was in Poland. I would aim it over to the United Kingdom, and I'd listen to medium wave radio from the United Kingdom. It was really nice because you know, I'm there in Poland. My Polish is still not that great, but it was nice to sit around at night, DX a little bit from the United Kingdom, and listen to broadcast in my native language. I'd do that as well as looking around. I'd sit there sometimes at the desk in the room I was at and spin it around, play around with the dial, and bring in and listen to stations across Europe as well. So it was a lot of fun. I'd even sometimes I'd just lay in bed with it next to me and spin it around and have some good times. You know, sometimes I'll go, if I'm at a beach or something, I sit on the deck with it, have a drink and hook it up. I've actually even hooked this thing up at the beach, sitting out on the deck to my small little notebook laptop and run some SDR software with it and tried it, and actually had some good success DXing with this antenna as well. So I'm getting at, there's a lot of better antennas out there, but this is a great, economical, cheap antenna that can get you into the hobby of medium wave real quick. Well, what I want to do now is I want to show you how this thing works. I'm going to break out a radio here, and we're going to do a passive coupling and bring in a signal to give you an idea how this thing works. Okay, here we go. Let's start with my little Panasonic ball radio. This thing is the first radio I ever DX with from these were built in 1970. This one still works pretty well. Let's cut it on. I don't even know where it's at on the band. A little rough, but I do know that the ferrite bar antenna inside is just right here. So we're about 3 inches away. There you go. As you see.
This is an accident blocking the shoulder outbound near the Greenfield Bridge overpass.
Cool.
Stop and go for the boulevard of the Allies. Also watch for a lot of flooding in spots.
I'm listening in here. See what you see where this is.
Progressive commercial insurance can protect your.
Anyway, as you can see, I tuned that in as I'm off now. So this antenna, through passive coupling, will tune in the station at the frequency. Cool thing about it too is, I'll turn this down, is we know that this station, this thing is, the cool thing about these are they're directional this way. It has nulls this way. So if you're listening, there's 2 or 3 stations on a frequency and you want to hear it, then the null is here and it's basically tunes out stations in that direction. And you can go, it's a very directional way to pick up a good station. Now listen, I did that on purpose to show you, even with an old, 54-year-old radio that would work. I personally like I said earlier, I like my Texans. I use the Texan. Now I use the Texan, the 368. This radio is basically the same as this one. This one just now has SSB, so I like to travel with that one as well. And like I said, it has the ferrite bar antenna with it too. I have other radios that I enjoy using, the XH data radio. You can use with these. Some people put these in the middle and use them that way when they're tuning in. But a lot of fun. A couple other things too. Here in the States, we have the steps between station is 10 kilohertz. So you'll have like 660, 670, 680. Over in Europe, it's 9 kilohertz. So believe it or not, we do something in tens here in the United States, kind of like the metric system that the rest of the world doesn't. But the 9 kilohertz, I'm telling you that because that's why sometimes an analog radio with an analog dial will help you to pick up signals from other outside of the United States where the steps are in 9 kilohertz. Because if you have a digital radio, I know with these, I can program this. I can go in and program it to 9 kilohertz steps instead of 10. But if you're out there and you're searching for, if you're in the United States and searching for stations that are outside of the United States, you're going to need a way to either take your digital radio, change it over to 9 kilohertz steps, or you're going to have to use an analog. And there's nothing wrong with using an analog. It's a little bit more of a mystery of where you're at on the band sometimes, but it works well. Well, there you go. I hope I've encouraged you to do a little bit of exploring and maybe spin that AM radio dial a little bit. AM radio, we're losing a lot of stations, and it seems to be somewhat dying a little bit. And it's such a great hobby, and you don't even need this if you don't want to. Play around with just the radio, and like I said, this has a ferrite bar antenna in it. You can turn the radio around, do some playing around, listen to some AM stations. I know what I like to do is I'm driving home in the evenings or on my way to work in the morning, I'll spin the dial on the car and do some DXing there. Give you a couple of resources that I really like. I've been a member of the National Radio Club for a while. They put out a great newsletter and a lot of logs from other members that'll keep you up to date there. It's called the DX News. I'll put a link to the National Radio Club. Really inexpensive. It's a great club to be a member of. They're heavy on the medium wave DX as well, and just a great newsletter. Another one that's just as good as the International Radio Club of America. Same thing. They have a monthly newsletter. I get it in PDF form. It's called the DX Monitor. And you can go through that, and really you can discover stations that way. I like to look at other people's logs that things they've picked up, and check out the stations that they've got. And I get here sometimes at night and spin around and try to and look for those stations as well. Something I didn't mention, and I think I may have touched on too. Medium wave DXing is a nighttime thing. That's really when the bands, when skip's happening. Daytime, still some people do it, more ground wave type thing, but for what we all call skip and that type of thing, for that type of propagation, the medium wave bands are a lot like HF bands for ham radio. You guys didn't know that medium wave is a lot like 160 and 80 meters somewhat for DXing and listening to them. Anyway, like I said, give you those resources. Kind of would love for you to get into it. This is my channel's mostly ham radio, but this is really a love that may be rival right up there, if not even more. I love medium wave DXing. Give you another YouTuber that I'm a big fan of. I love his channel. It's DX Central, and I'll put a link to that. Lloyd Van Horn is his name. He's heavy duty. He's serious medium wave DXer and does some serious stuff. And a lot of stuff with SDR type stuff, and really great channel. So I'll put a link to him as well. I kind of encourage you to go check out his channel, like and subscribe to him, and really check out the hobby of medium wave DXing, because like I said, I love it. Once you get into it and really get going, it's an addiction. It's a fun hobby. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. I'm Walt, K4OGO. For my ham friends, 73. Hope to see you soon. For you guys that are just getting into radio, 73 means all the best, guys. Thanks for watching.